This is Grace. She's 4 years old and lives in an orphanage in Jinja, Uganda. Her mother was raped by her village leader as a child and was kicked out of the village for being a disgrace to the community. She died while giving birth to Grace. The witch doctor who took care of her took Grace and locked her in a box for weeks at a time. Grace was found when she was a year old, weighing only 12 pounds. Stories like hers are stories that define millions of children in Africa. Stories like hers are ones that make us uncomfortable. But why do they make us uncomfortable? Because these are the stories that make the pictures on the screens real. As Americans, we've all heard about the starving African orphans. We've all seen pictures of malnourished babies with bloated bellies flashing across screens. But we have taught ourselves to become immune to it. We have summed up orphans to be nothing more than that, but they are so much more than that. Each face that flashes across the screen has a story. Most are filled with hurt, abandonment, and tragedy. But some are filled with hope, redemption, and peace. The difference? The ones filled with joy and hope are the faces of children that someone chose to care about. When we connect the face to a story, it makes that child real. But we as Americans dehumanize these kids by taking away their stories. We would rather choose to be comfortable, to carry on with our everyday lives without thinking about the millions of girls throughout Africa every year that are circumcised to enable men to control their sexuality and make rape easier. We choose not to think about the child soldiers being taken from their homes and taught to kill their own mothers. We don't think about the thousands of kids in African prisons shackled to walls for crimes their parents committed. But these things are all distant and foreign to the lives we lead, so why should we care? We view these children as not our problem. But if we don't help them, who will? The number of African child brides is expected to double by 2050. There are an estimated 250,000 child soldiers fighting around the world right now, 40% of them being girls who are forced into sex slavery. What would happen if when we heard these statistics, we chose to do something about it rather than turning our heads the other way? Our culture is comfortable. We are taught from a young age to avoid anything that makes us uncomfortable. We think we are entitled to the American dream, to get into a good college, land a good job, settle down, have a nice house and a cute family, then repeat. This isn't a bad thing, but isn't there more to life than this? When we choose to be uncomfortable and go against the status quo, we can make a difference. When we choose to live a life of selflessness instead of a life of selfishness, we can change the world. I'm not saying one person can change the world, because I don't think that's possible. But I do think it's possible to change the world for one child. I think that's what we were each created to do. I don't think a world without war, abuse, and poverty will ever exist on this earth. But I do think one by one we can raise up a generation that strives for something bigger. A world we leave behind that is kinder and more gentle than when we came into it.
Zesle na buto.